We're going to welcome back Judith Barr. You probably remember her from her book, Power Abused, Power Healed. And, she has been passionate in her practice about safety and strongly committed to her clients and healing our world, helping to heal our world. And Judith has been a depth psychotherapist, and she's been in practice for over 30 years with her master's in counseling and her national certification and licensure as a clinical mental health counselor. So today we're going to talk with her about a really interesting approach to money and how we can heal our relationship with money. Judith, welcome back.
Hi, Rob. Hi, Brenda. I'm really glad to be back with you.
Well, glad to have you back. And, this is a huge, huge topic, Judith. We probably, if you pick a category where we're really wounded and have very distorted relationships, I guess money might be maybe close to the top, if not number one. Is that correct?
I think so.
Well, that and our mothers, right? No.
Well, money actually leads right back there.
Yes.
It's so amazing to me to see how focused so many people want to just be on the here and now situation and on doing things in the outer world, and how hesitant they are to look inside and see that this is not just what's getting stirred up. The fear that's here is not just here and now, that most of it actually is from when we were children. And if each one of us would take a look at that and do that work, the level of fear in our country and in our world would decrease, because we would have worked through the ancient fear, and we'd be left with whatever fear is here in the current day and be able to make much wiser choices.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Judith, you wrote an article called Recession Regression, and I guess that comes to the point now that while we are, so uptight about what's going on economically, this really brings our relationship to money to the fore. And, in it you talk about this concept of transference. Could you explain how that works?
Yes, Rob. People think of transference, if they know the word, as something that happens in a therapist's office, but actually it happens as we walk through our lives with other people and things. And what it is that we redirect our energies from our childhood, from our relationships, particularly with older and authority figures, onto someone or something in the here and now. So we redirect our thoughts, our feelings, our perceptions, our senses, our experiences onto something in the here and now. You might do that with a boss. You might think a boss is being judgmental of you when he or she isn't. You might do that with your partner. You may think your partner is ignoring you when that's not what's happening, when your partner is just going inside to deal with something internal for themselves. But you transfer that old experience onto someone in the here and now. I was just going to say my best example of that was someone who came to me long ago, and in our first session she said, "Your eyes remind me of my mother's."
Oh.
And I thought, okay, here's the transference. I don't know how it's going to come out. It could be very awkward and uncomfortable, but I also know, Rob and Brenda, that transference is a way to bring to consciousness and healing something that may not come any other way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you stated when we first opened the show that our relationship with money, the distortion of it, is so related to our family histories, give us an idea, Judith, a concrete idea of what you mean by that. What can happen in our family relationships that could cause us to have a distortion with money?
I think it's more specific than just family, but it does pervade a family usually. Mm-hmm. Many people, when they deal with these issues, whether it be a financial planner or a therapist, they just look at how you respond to how your parents used money. Mm-hmm. Maybe you copy how they used it. Maybe if they squandered it, you squandered it. Or maybe if they squandered it and you rebel against it, maybe you save it. But what I do is I look at a much deeper level. And what I've found is, and this really came by inspiration as I was working with someone on her money issues years ago, I found that for each person, there are very specific experiences with one other person at least that's tied up in it. And the first experience I had was I invited this woman to bring $1,000 in cash. And she didn't have very much money, so I said I understood she would need to borrow it from her credit card. I wanted her to have the direct experience with the money, not a check or a credit card, and I wanted it to feel abundant. And she sat with the money in her hand, and I saw her neck getting red and her face getting red, and she was obviously getting angry, and all of a sudden she threw the $1,000 across the room and started crying. And she said, "You're never there when I want you. I hate that I need you. I want you to come, but you don't come. Just get away from me and don't ever come back." And I knew that she was transferring her mother onto money. And I also heard that she was saying with one part of herself, "Come to me, please come to me. I do need you." And with another part of herself, she was saying, "Get away and don't ever come back." So that showed up in her life with her mother, with her friends, and it also showed up with money. Because she was in conflict with herself. Right. And it showed up in the outcome.
Well, Judith, I'm sure because there's so much emphasis on money. I mean, the news every day always starts with, the Dow Jones is up or it's down and that kind of a thing. So obviously there's a lot of transference going on here when it comes to a lot of our attitudes towards money. But I just want to get something clear. You're not talking about like the Phil Graham approach to recession is just a mental problem, are you?
No, that is not what I'm saying. It's the furthest thing, and I'm really glad you asked me that so that would clear it up for everybody. I'm not. I mean, there are things that are here and now that need to be tended to. But I always wonder, because of the depth of the work I do with people and because of the changes that I see in their lives when they really tend to the wounds that live within them, I always wonder what part of this is cause and what part of this effect. What part did we play in this? Let's say, what if there are millions of people in our society that also are in conflict about money, that also have transferred their mothers onto money, that also feel, "I want you and you never come. Please come, but get out of here. I don't want to have anything to do with you." What if there are millions of people that are calling money to them and pushing it away from someplace they're not conscious of? And that's what happens when we're not conscious of it. It drives our lives. So how might that have participated in co-creating where we are communally and economically in our society? And that's just one half of it. The other part is then how do we respond to it from our wounds, or do we use it to help us heal the wounds so we don't recreate this situation again? Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And it makes complete and total sense to us here that type of relationship, everything that we are, do, have, be, comes from our experiences, comes from our relationships with each other and ourselves. And so, from Rob and I and what we do here on Conscious Talk, it makes complete and total sense.
Yeah, we think this is a great opportunity for folks to get inside. Money is a big one. Well, we're here with Judith Barr, the author of Power Abused, Power Healed, and we will be right right back. Yeah, we've been busy. We are with Judith Barr, and she wrote a really wonderful book called Power Abused, Power Healed, which we talked to her about. And now she's got a DVD that it's called The Truth About Power. And if you go to her site, powerabusedpowerhealed.com, you can, find out how to get that. And Judith, don't you have some other things for folks that, more along the lines of what we're talking about today? Oh, we lost her.
Oh, we did lose her.
I guess we did.
There she is.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. I know you have this article, Recession Regression.
Yes.
And folks, you can get that article. It's not up on her site, but if you email Judith at info@powerabusedpowerhealed.com, you can also get that article that she has. So I want to ask you something, Judith.
I just want to say, and that article, there is no charge for that article. That's my contribution to helping people really take a step to use this time for healing.
Great. Thank you very much. And I know people appreciate that. Again, folks, you can get it at info@powerabusedpowerhealed.com. So I want to ask you something that probably maybe people ask you, but maybe not. Are you scared during these times?
Of course. I'm human.
Yes. But it's good to know that, because people often think of professionals is that they've already taken care of all this.
No.
They're like in some special place in their life, and they don't, exhibit the same symptoms we do.
Brenda, if somebody sees a person that says that about themselves, go the other way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a warning sign about someone that's in the process of abusing their power. We're all human.
Right.
We have a lifelong journey that takes us deeper and deeper into ourselves to heal wounds at subtler and subtler levels. The part of what's happening now in our world is fear is here, but it's here, I believe, for healing. And all of us have had experiences in our childhood where we were frightened and then wanted to bury the fear and get on with something else. But we need to deal with the fear. So, of course, I get scared at times. And sometimes when I get scared, I hear that song from The King and I. Whenever I feel afraid, I hold my head erect and whistle a happy tune so no one will suspect I'm afraid. Mm-hmm. But that's not me. That's not what I do. That's not what I teach. Mm-hmm. I do what I teach. I do the work. I go into the fear. I take the time I need to go into it and through it with the intention of healing and transforming the energy that's all wrapped up there into something else that I can use to give in my life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking that.
Yeah, and so, Judith, is that where the hope is? Because, you as a depth psychologist, you drill down to, really the causes, and there's a lot of energy there, as you're saying. Is that the hope for us? I mean, everybody's looking for some hope because it does look fairly dire out there.
The hope is each of us doing our own work, yes. If we just look outside or if we try to manage things in the here and now on the level of our own economies, personal and communal, that leads to hopelessness because the work has to be done at the root. We could do wonderful things in the outer world, but if we don't do the inner work at the root, we won't be able to sustain whatever we create in the outer world. Mm-hmm. So the hope is, yes, in doing the deeper work at the root of our being for ourselves and our world.
So there's going to be people, Judith, that are going to need then help with this. They're going to need outside help, meaning a therapist, because there's going to be thousands of people that cannot manage if they're not used to going in, if they're not used to doing the work. They're going to need some guidance. So how do they find a good therapist?
Well, actually, Brenda, I have an article on my website that if you go to powerabusedpowerhealed.com and go to articles, there's one on what to look for in a therapist and spiritual helper. And there's a list of things to look for, starting with, does this person do their own personal healing work, what we were talking about before?
Right.
And followed by, does this person do ongoing supervision with another colleague or another professional for the work they're doing? It includes, is this person afraid of their own feelings or of yours, which you would not want to be working with somebody who was afraid of feelings. There are many more. There are, I think, about 10 on that list. But I suggest people go to that list and ask those questions of people that they're interviewing to possibly work with.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because we were talking about that during the break, how, it's an endless process, if you want to look at it that way. And I mean that in a very hopeful and uplifting way, because it sure makes life interesting. You seem to get through. We were talking with you about we did a lot of work on healing our issues around money, and we in a relatively short time we saw it pay off. But the realization is always there, Judith, that then there's another level. There's always something more beneath that, and the money being just really the symbolic thing. It gave us some way to measure something.
Exactly. And believe me, the work always pays off. It may not pay off in the form you're looking for it to pay off, but it always pays off. It is a rich process. And I know some people are afraid of the word endless when they think of doing this work. So can I offer another word instead?
Well, that was it. Yeah, as soon as I said that, I went, oh, that doesn't sound
limitless?
Great. Limitless.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
Limitless.
Well, you're really helping people and setting them on to the road to freedom, really freedom of self. And that's really what, Rob and I really hold that as our intention when we do the work. We don't say, oh, this is about money or this is about X. But for us, it is about the freedom of self to be authentically real and in our power. As a spiritual being having this human experience. And so that makes us limitless. And so it is limitless.
Well, and we have this great opportunity now for so many people. The focus is on money. We had an experience yesterday with a group of people where the focus was on violence, or how do you create nonviolence. But I guess the point is, Judith, when these things are in our lives, doesn't that mean that it's a great opportunity to get some work done?
It's a great opportunity. The other side of crisis is opportunity.
Well, and if people want, now, do you do phone sessions, Judith? Can people have a session?
I do phone sessions. I would want to be sure that it was a safe thing for the particular person that was wanting to do it with me. And if it didn't seem like it was safe, then I'd want to see if there was some way I could help them find somebody that was right there that could do work with them in person. But yes, I do phone sessions.
Great. And your number's on your website at powerhealed.com.
There's an email address on the website that they can get me through. Yes.
Okay, good. And also, I know that you do workshops, and if people were interested in arranging a workshop, they could also contact you off of your website, and they can email people. If you're interested in contacting Judith, you can email her at info@powerabusedpowerhealed.com. An easy way to get in touch with her.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious that as you've been doing this work, I imagine now with a number of clients around money, what do you see? What are you seeing out there?
Oh, man, I see people becoming awed by what they didn't even realize was happening. I mean, I've had people walk away from workshops saying, I will never look at money the same way again. I've had one woman left the workshop and decided that she was going to let go of her job and start her own company, which she had dreamed of for years. And she did that, and it's now a very successful company.
Wow.
I had one man who the work he did was about money being dangerous because he was afraid if he had it, people would kill him for it, which was an experience with his siblings in childhood, that they beat him up and tried to get things away from him, and it felt to him like they were going to kill him. And after he did the work, a month later, he came and said, you won't believe this. I have money coming to me faster than I can even count it. And I also have people that it opens up very young wounds that take time to tend to hold as sacred, to help the person build the capacity to feel it and go through it, but that opens up a whole new way of being engaged with life and with themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's very exciting because money's just one of the symbolic things that we're talking about here that, that make a difference. Again, folks, it is about being willing and having the courage in you, which you all have it if you resource it within yourselves, to do the work. And the work is, yes, it's exciting and exhilarating and it's difficult and it's all of those things, but it's the most rewarding thing that you'll do in your life. Well, Judith, we want to thank you for joining us here today on Conscious Talk. Again, folks, it is PowerAbusedPowerHealed.com. There's a lot of information on there for you. And if you want to get a hold of Judith, you can go to info@PowerAbusedPowerHealed.com.
Yeah, I'm saying